I'd like to call this regular council meeting to order of July 11th. And before we get started, Councilman Catroci would like to mention something about our mayor who passed away.
July 8th, Mayor Joseph A. Saxon passed away. Joe was a great family man, a loving husband, father, grandfather, brother, and uncle to the Saxons and Bidley-Meyer families. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I lost a family member, a friend, a classmate of Bristol High School's class of 1967, and a political ally. Our community lost a leader who worked tirelessly to make Bristol Borough a great place to live and raise a family. Joe was a volunteer fireman since he was 16 years old and was actively working with all the fire companies to create an efficient and economical system that could operate in today's environment. Joe had been a councilman, a school board director, and served on more committees than I can mention here. Joe loved being mayor of Bristol Borough, a job he served with pride and dignity, whether it was working with council, the police, or fire departments, serving on committees like the AOC or the Dow Community Advisory Committee, or performing a wedding. He carried out these duties in a manner that made us all proud. Mayor Joe Saxon, we thank you for being a great family man, a great volunteer, and a great government leader. Rest in peace. Thank you.
So what I would like to say is that on Friday when we received the phone call that the mayor had passed away, it really was shocking because we all know that Joe was struggling for a while and he had some health issues, but I don't think anybody really thought that, he was at the end, but he ended up getting an infection, and I think that's what really, hurt him. But as Louis said, and he spoke eloquently about the mayor, and we all had something we would like to say. Joe was a great guy. I mean, everybody had political differences at some times, but the friendship never went away. I mean, I know Joe from when we coached in Little League and his family, and he served this town as mayor with class and dignity, and Louis said that perfectly because Joe really enjoyed being mayor. I mean, every time he ended a phone conversation or he ended a text or an email, it was from Mayor Joe Saxon. So Joe, we're going to miss you. This town's definitely going to miss you. And there was nobody, I think, that represented this town with class the way you did. And if everybody knows, there's flowers on the mayor's desk tonight from Dave Fallon from Caesars. Aww. Thought it'd be nice to drop something off tonight. So at this time, let's stand for a moment of silence. Let's remember all of those who passed away during the month, and also let's remember our Mayor Joe Saxon, and keep him and Dottie and Justin, Nicole, and the entire Bidley-Meyer family and Saxon family in their prayers. Awesome, let's pray. Please salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Dillon, you want to do roll call, please?
Mr. Pezza?
Here, sorry.
Ms. Cullen?
Here.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Gorman? Present. Ms. Figueroa?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Croce?
Present.
Mr. Di Giuseppe?
Here. Okay, public participation. Does anybody, before we move on, if anybody has anything they want to say, Betty, you want to talk about the mayor.
Yeah, I want to talk about the mayor, but I also would like to give my condolences to the Rodriguez family. Carlos Rodriguez lived on Linden Street for many, many years and was a big-time constituent of mine. I love this family. They supported me, and they were good people. And he got sick in November and recently passed away. So my condolences to the Rodriguez family. I also want to send my condolences to Dottie, to Nicole, to Jay, and to their siblings, and, well, you know what I mean, their spouses. Because the mayor, I've been here 19 years, and in 19 years, we've walked together to knock on doors, we went out there, we did our thing together, but I feel like he was one of the most caring mayors that we had. He loved what he did, and that's why every time we send messages back and forth, he would always sign the mayor, Mayor Sachs. And he did it so much, one time I responded, VP, Betty Rodriguez, because I just thought it was cute that he was always telling me he was the mayor, as if I didn't know that. So I said, let me just put that in there. So that's how I responded to him. But I wish his family my deepest condolences, and it's been an honor to serve with Mr. Saxon.
Lorraine, you have anything you would like to?
I would just like to say it's a really sad time for Bristol. Mayor Saxon was our biggest cheerleader, and we all know that. And I want to say I'm sorry to the Saxon, Verdecia, and Billy Meyer families.
Anybody else with Greg?
Yeah, I would just like to say, I knew Mr. Saxton in a different capacity, such as, Mr. Catroci was his classmate. I was more contemporaries of his children, and he was around my entire life, whether it be CYO basketball, we spent baseball, Little League baseball, we spent some summer vacations together, so I knew him on a very personal level for a very long time, and he was always just a really good person, and there may be no one that loved Bristol more than Mr. Saxton did. He just wanted to do what was best for the town, and he always carried himself with professionalism and an expectation of decorum in this chamber. And also just on the political side of things, when I decided to run, I think I was 32 years old. And, there were a lot of people, even friends, that just didn't think I was ready and didn't think I should do it. And Joe had my back from minute one, saying, you need to do this. He, in his age, I think he also has always had a realization that there's got to be another generation of people in this town that do what he did for so long. So I'm really going to miss him. He was a really good guy. And my condolences to Jay and Melissa, Hector and Nicole, and all of his grandchildren and family.
Anybody else would like to? Maria?
And Dottie, of course, I'm sorry.
I have to say, as a newcomer, I'm really going to miss his special hellos when he walked in our meetings. So, but I also would like to, on behalf of the Puerto Rican Culture Association of Bucks County, we would like to extend our condolences for the loss of Mayor Joe Saxon, an iconic figure in the community and will be sadly missed by everyone. Our hearts go out to Dottie, the family, and friends.
Anybody else? Michael?
Yes, of course, I just want to send my condolences to Mrs. Saxton and her family, Nicole, and Hector, and your grandson, Mr. Saxton's grandson, and then also Jay and his wife, related to Mr. Otochi, and those grandchildren. Mr. Saxton, Ron and I, my partner, always referred to him as a giant in the community. He was also a friend, and and Ron, and he always had a special little thing between them that they would do at all the events, where he would refer to Ron as his deputy. And one of the last times that he was in his company, he actually gave Ron a little star that said deputy. So not only being a wonderful man and a dedicated man, but a friend, and may he rest in peace.
I think that the hard part is, as you get older, you start losing more people that you get close to. And after our meetings, we always enjoyed ourselves. We would go out and get something to eat and laugh and tell jokes. And I think that's a side that a lot of people at home don't see us interacting. They see us sitting here and, we deal with borough issues, but going out, I think, was enjoyable and, always had a lot of jokes and laughed, and we had a good time. I mean, I sat here in council when Joe was a council member and I was newly elected 21 years ago. So just in this room, I knew Joe for, a long time besides that, but he's truly going to be missed. I could tell you that right now. Mr. Dillon?
Just want to say that I, enjoyed working with Joe, the mayor, as a councilman and as a mayor. He never had a hidden agenda. He was always looking for what's best for the town, and he will be missed. Thank you.
I think we could all say with certainty that Joe is one of the finest public servants that this town has ever had. Not only a volunteer, a first responder, he worked with kids, he did it all. And of course, he represented the borough as mayor like no one else has. He is definitely going to be missed.
On behalf of the police department downstairs, I just want to send our condolences to the family. And on a side note, the mayor was on council when I was hired 31 years ago, so I got an opportunity to work with him as a councilman and a mayor, and he was probably one of the most dedicated and passionate community leaders that I've ever worked with. So we send our prayers to the family.
Thanks, Joe.
Agreed.
So I'm sure everybody will follow the mayor's viewing will be on Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 10:45, followed by Mass at St. Mark's Church at 11 a.m. So friends and family can call. I'm sure that everybody read the obituary, but if you didn't get a paper, you didn't see it online, that everything is Saturday morning, again at Wade Funeral Home from 8 a.m. to 10:45, Mass at 11 a.m. Hopefully I'm not missing anything.
Can I just say that the police and the firemen did an escort with Joe from St. Mary's Hospital to Bristol Borough Saturday morning, so in his honor. So I thought that was really nice also.
Okay. Public participation. Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything, go to the podium.
Good evening. Jason Grisalia, 583 Linden Street, Bristol. Just a couple things I want to touch on. First thing, Mr. Dillon, did we get those street lights fixed by Pico? Have we been in contact with Pico?
We're working on it.
All right, because it's getting, it's to a point where it's going on almost a month now, and I mean, it's not your fault, it's them that are just, they don't want to work with anybody, and I don't understand why. The lot that they have across the street is junk. They go and spray weeds, they let them fall, and they just lay there. You know, the big trees, they spray them and they wilt over, you know? They don't take them out, they don't pick them up, they do nothing, they just neglect the property.
Sounds like Conroe on Garden Street.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. These big corporations, they don't care. They really don't care.
Yep.
There's like, you know, foot traffic going around in the area that, you really can't see because there's no lighting on the entire corner of Linden and Mifflin, and as you go down Linden Street towards around the firehouse, there's no lighting back there, and who knows what's going on back there. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, I know last meeting, something was discussed about the trash in the alley between Swain and Linden being picked up on the street, not the alleyway. Are we anywhere with that?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
I did bring it up because it's not just Linden and Swain.
Mhm.
Some people on Otter Street, when they get to the end of the alleyway,
Mhm.
they're going into people's lots,
You know how
and
many times, I'm going to interrupt you if you start. They have ruined my property.
yeah, I do know.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
and
So
it's
we're trying-
continuous, and when I speak with the driver, and then when I call Mascaro, because they paid for it 3 times already,
Yes.
and it's to a point where it's not fixable anymore.
So I've been approached by different people, they've ruined people's gates at the end.
Yeah.
And what was said was maybe we should get someone to fill out a petition and have everybody agree that they wouldn't mind putting their trash out on the street.
But,
That's
and
what-
here's the thing with that though, is because it's gonna be more work for them, because now the alley is neglected, which is what I was gonna talk on next.
Yeah.
The alley looks like a third world country. It is not anything that represents Bristol Borough. It's nothing that should represent the West Ward. It's sickening.
But do you think that's because of the people don't take care of their own property? I'm just
I
asking.
think, no, I think it's because the people put their trash out there, and they put it out on Friday night. It's left there Saturday, it's left there Sunday, it's left there Monday, it doesn't get picked up till Tuesday. After it's picked up on Tuesday, whatever's left in the can, they don't bring it into their yard. They just leave it out there. And what comes? Raccoons, groundhogs,
Are you
skunks.
saying the trash should be picked up on the street?
That's what I would recommend, because now people, I mean, would you want to look outside? I know you wouldn't want to look outside your house and see a trash can. No, you're going to go out and you're going to bring it in. At least I would think so.
Some people do. You don't honestly, you know.
I would think so, right? And when I talk to the drivers are even ones that say they can't make the move.
They want it to- I think a lot of residents will want to keep it in the end.
All right, Jim's gonna look into that.
And is there any way we could maybe even, cite these people for leaving their trash out for so long?
That could be handled. That's inside our, whether it's put out back or out front, we have an inspection department that can handle that.
All right. That's fine, that's all I ask. I just want that, I would like it clean, there's no need for filth.
There's
no need
alleys
for-
all over, Jason, that people don't care about. We clean them up and they just, within a day or two, there's trash everywhere.
And Jason, it's about the people too, because where I live, the people next door put out the trash cans. If they get picked up, we're lucky, but the trash cans will sit there till Monday.
Yeah.
And when we have 90-degree weather, it's disgusting.
But isn't there, I mean, I know people said we can do something about that with like, sending them a citation or anything like that. Isn't that possible? Like,
Yeah.
even if they leave the trash out, no matter where it is?
You have to, we need the manpower to do this stuff. That's the problem right now. Manpower.
I get it.
Manpower's, right, Mara? I mean, they're overloaded with just trying to keep their head above water. So we're doing everything we can. The girls are overworked, the vacations. We're still looking for an inspector we know we got problems. I'm not saying,
No.
we know there are issues that we need to fix.
And I'm not, I don't want to sound like, P in the A, you know what I mean? But,
And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
We know we got issues,
all right.
and we're gonna straighten these issues out, believe me.
Okay. Now, another thing, it's no secret that, I've contacted numerous people about my neighbor feeding everything and anything. Is there anything that we can do about that?
So we discussed that because it could be something that can go into litigation.
Uh-huh.
So we discussed that with our solicitor this evening in executive session. So why don't you explain what we can and we cannot do?
Well, I was asked if we could, if the borough could adopt an ordinance preventing people from feeding birds. I don't think we can do that. We allow people to have bird feeders. I just don't know how we would enforce that. If it's, we can do that on public property. We could stop people from feeding the pigeons on public property, but I don't believe we could do that on private property.
We're free roaming animals.
Right.
Yeah, listen, I have nothing against feeding birds, right? But what I do have something against is when my neighbor's entire yard the food is not kept in bird feeders. The food is thrown on the ground. I mean, it looks like grass seed out there with bread, I mean, it's on their porch. The birds go and eat it on their porch. They throw it on their porch. They throw it in the open area in the grass. It's not in a bird feeder. Like this morning, a skunk came underneath of the fence from that yard. I'm trying to get a bunny that was in the yard, and the skunk went in the trap. I had to call Mr. Palmer to come get rid of the skunk. I mean, who knows what's going to come through there, next. There's raccoons, there's groundhogs. That the birds aren't the only thing eating the food that they're leaving out. It's the groundhogs, it's the skunks, it's everything.
Again, I'm not sure the borough can restrict that. If it becomes a health hazard, you could, file a claim against your neighbor. It becomes a property issue.
Okay.
But, I don't know how we'd enforce that. People throwing stuff on their lawn, it's just not something the borough could be involved in. We have wild animals. We live next to a river. We have them, and we're going to have more. It's happening all over the country. The animals are getting used to being in urban areas, and we're going to have them. But I don't
I
believe...
just think that that's a way to prevent them from,
We discussed this tonight for a while.
I get it.
And
I get it. I mean, I know that there's
it's
things you can do
becoming
and you can't do,
it becomes two property owners. It's like a roof. Your roof's attached to somebody. If there was something that could be done, it would be done. Let's put it that way. I mean, your two council people, Lorraine, everybody was trying to figure a way out.
Does it now become a Department of Health issue?
Might be. You'd have
I
to
mean, they
call
came
them.
out the first time and said that there was nothing that they can do until I saw stuff like, skunks or, groundhogs and rats. It's just,
It's
and-
tough. When we have to tell you that there's nothing we can do, we're not happy about it. Let's put it that
I
way.
get it.
I mean,
I get it. I'm not saying.
we're not here to,
I'm not saying, put the hammer down.
no,
you know
but
what I mean?
we tried and looked at every angle there was tonight to try to come up with a solution that would work
Yeah.
for you.
All right.
It just doesn't work.
Okay. All right. I do think that if we get that alley cleaned up, that could resolve some of the issue. It's not going to resolve everything because I see that they're still going there. I think if we do get that alley cleaned up, that will resolve some of the issue.
That's stuff that we know we need to get done.
Okay. I mean, if you guys, I'm home all day after 11:30 now in the summer. So if you guys want to take a walk.
I have pictures of that alley. I have pictures,
Yeah.
and
So-
they're bad.
But they're all over town. We know that.
And I know this.
Yeah.
But I should probably give you the pictures, Mr. Dillon. I should probably pass them on.
I mean, the alley behind St. Anne's Church is a disgrace.
I know.
There's mattresses laying out there,
Ralph,
there's,
with all due respect, I drove down that alley last night and I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's not even comparable.
I know, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we have issues that we need to address.
People even need to,
That's our job to address these issues.
repair
I
them.
mean, and also you gotta think, you can't tell people, you can't, train people how to live. They're used to living one way now, you know what I mean?
Huh.
And, they're scumbags.
There's dilapidated garages back there.
Yes.
There's all kind of, it's bad.
So, all right, thanks, guys.
All right, Jason. Anybody else would like to speak on this side of the room? Anybody on this side? That ends public participation. So before we get started, who's got it? We have a check for the theater. You want to come up? Yes. Okay, I'll take your mic.
Hi, how are you? On behalf of Bristol Borough Council, I was going to say, and the mayor, and the manager, it just breaks my heart, I'm sorry. But we'd like to give you this check to continue doing your services for the Bristol Borough Theater. We appreciate how well everything's going, and we want you to continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much. I'm David Abers. I'm the general manager for Bristol Riverside Theater, and on behalf of the board and the staff, we are so grateful for the continued support and partnership that we have with Bristol Borough that allows us to do the many things we do, like our $5 tickets for borough residents to see our shows, for the continued presence we have in the school district in Bristol Borough. We are now doing full year school participation as well as our arts camp in the summer. So this allows us to do what we do, and we're so grateful to everyone and the mayor.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go through council, or you want Kurt to go, or? Council. Betty, you have anything?
I just wanted to correct something. I think it was last year, I said that this year the Puerto Rican Culture Association would be celebrating 50 years, but I think due to the pandemic, there was a year or two that it was not celebrated. And Maria's going to mention when it is and the time and date, but I just wanted to correct myself that it is 49th year. Next year will be 50, but still, 49th year of Puerto Ricans in Bristol. Hi.
Michael?
I don't have anything.
Louis?
I just wanted to thank Chief Moore's. I saw the escort, the honor guard Saturday morning, and that was very impressive. The other comment I wanted to make is the mahogany and steel show that was down at the wharf in the parking lot on Sunday. It was phenomenal. Not just the displays, but the way everybody. There was a very nice police presence, even though you probably didn't need it, because everybody was really just enjoying themselves. And I heard several comments of people down by the wharf, and it was people that I didn't know. It looked like they might have been following the boaters or the antique car people, but heard several comments about how nice it looked down there, and what a nice facility, and they were impressed with the docks. So it makes you feel good when people are enjoying things like that. And the parking lot, I got to thank the public workers too, because the parking lot was immaculate, even during the show. So I know they had it all cleaned very nicely to have that. So thanks again to your crew and to the public works staff.
Maria?
I only basically I want to thank Joe for his quick response, and with the hanging out incident on Jefferson and Mansion, and so far everything's been pretty quiet. So I want to thank you with that. And also, Mr. Dillon and the guys, their quick response whenever I have, there's an issue that needs to be addressed. It gets addressed right away. Majority of the time, some things kind of take time, but everything that I've had to address so far has already been worked on, or it is being worked on. So thank you. And I also want to mention, as Betty was saying, the Puerto Rican Culture Association of Bucks County presents the 49th annual Puerto Rican Day Festival. It's going to be lots of fun, lots of food, music. They're going to have, culture events, games for the kids. So it's going to be a fun day for everyone and families. And again, I have to say, the food, excellent food. Make sure that everybody at least go down and get some food.
Maria,
And
did you say when it was?
it is, I'm sorry, July 30th, Saturday, July 30th. Rain date is set for the 31st, and it is from 12 to 8 p.m. And it's actually at the Bristol waterfront. And also, I want to mention the Saturday before, which is the 23rd, the Puerto Rican Culture Association does also called the Jibaro Night, which is like old folk Latin music, and that is, I believe, 5:30 is the raising of the flag, and then at 6 o'clock down near the monument, that's where they'll have live music and refreshments, I believe. So I just wanted to let everyone know, come and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Brian, you have anything? No. Greg?
I would like to reiterate that the car and boat show was really nice. Nice day, which helped as well. But I do think it also showcased the parking lot at the right time, and that we have just finished that. But I also think it gives us a sense of how nice that parking lot can be, and that we should really, I think, continue to maintain it the best that we can, and continue to keep an eye on whatever we can do to keep that a vibrant place. I had mentioned to Michael and Betty before, even, as we try to invest in using that parking lot a little bit more, I think it's more of a 300 block issue, to be honest, and as an owner of one of those dumpsters myself, there are a few dumpsters out there that, by no fault of any of the property owners, it's the only place for them to be. I think we should also consider thinking outside the box of how we even, what the properties are looking like in the back, because it's not feeling like a back so much anymore, because people are spending a lot of time down there. Great event. I also wanted to just ask Mr. Dillon just a couple of questions. Mr. Dillon, the old Simon & Schuster property, I don't know it by any other name, on the Radcliffe side, I just feel like we need to hold them as accountable for their weeds and for the state of that property as we would hold anyone else. And I'm glad they invested lots and lots of money to buy the place, but they're not investing the money to maintain the place. There's a fence that's like half knocked over on the way in. There's a pole that's half knocked over. There are weeds everywhere. And, you're entering Bristol Borough for the first time. And on the left-hand side, you see this beautifully maintained, housing community, and the people pay the money to do that. And then on the other side of the street, you've got this major factory that just is kind of an eyesore at this point in time. Even behind the fencing, where they have a lot of electrical equipment and stuff, the weeds are growing very high. It's unsightly, and even when it was unoccupied, it was maintained better, I feel, than it is now. Also, Mr. Dillon, I sent you an email before, and you did respond. I just didn't know if there was any update about the old Danish market as well. It's been vacant for a long time, as we all know. There was a fire, there was a lot of things that happened, but they did clean up their weeds at our request as well. But do we know what's going on there, or if there's any plans for that place?
No plans have been submitted, but we'll try.
Same owner? Like, did any of that stuff change hands, or?
No, not in the recent,
Yeah.
very recent. We'll try to get them in if you're available during the day, maybe.
Okay.
Bring them in.
I would love to do that.
Have a discussion with them.
Okay, thank you. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, I was not here in June, so it very well may have been mentioned, and I apologize if this is redundant, but I also wanted to send out my sympathies to Danny Smith's family and his wife Melissa, and his parents and his brother. Danny and I graduated from Bristol High with Vince Petroci, and Jay Griszalia was here tonight. He was a year or two behind us, and and Tiffany, right, and so, he was the best athlete I've ever seen in my entire life, up close and personal. Not that that really matters in the grand scheme of things, but it does go to show too that he was always just a really nice guy. Never arrogant about that, just a really nice person, and I was very sad to see what had happened, and so I wanted to send my sympathies out to Melissa and his family. That's all I have.
I wanted to ask if we have any updates on Mill Run, the property.
The owner is supposed to be coming in at the end of this month to give us, the borough, a timeline on when he feels he'll be able to open that one section.
I've gotten more questions in the last month about this place than I've gotten in this whole time.
There's a lot of activity. I think Pico finally turned on the power, which helps them now to start finishing it, so
And the property-
somewhat optimistic. I mean, it looks nice.
The property looks good outside.
No, I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but people want to know when this is going to open. The other thing is, I noticed this last night, and I forgot to go out and look for the numbers, but there are two poles in front of my house. One is at the corner of Madison and Wilson. The street light is out at night, it's on during the day. There's another one in between two houses, like the next one on Wilson, that is out at night, on during the day. The other thing I have is, I wanted to address this to Joe Morse. My sister lives on Mansion Street and Inlet, and she said that in the middle of the night, this has happened all the time, but it just happened. In the middle of the night, the tractor trailer got stuck in the street, almost took out her husband's car, and I just, tell the guys to be aware and give them a ticket, because there's a big sign at the end of the street. They should know better than to go down there. Thanks. That's it. Thank you.
I remembered one thing, I'm sorry. Mr. Dillon, can we address the Luke Oil gas station across from the diner on Bear Street? They never seem to clean it up until we complain, and it needs to be cleaned up. There's overgrown weeds all over. Please and thank you.
Chief?
First, in your packet on the back page, I'm not going to go over it all, but for the monthly report for June, before we have the police and the river government, as the police officers responded to and participated in June. You guys see. Secondly, August 2nd from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night, we're going to do our first annual National Night Out here in Bristol Borough. We went to school. Should have something in your packet with that. That's the wrong way to that. And then finally, I'll just read something regarding the St. A Carnival, if I can just take a minute. So the Bristol Borough Police will be once again hosting the Night at the Carnival on August 16, 2022 at St. Anne Church. This event is once again being sponsored by Bristol Environmental. Borough children aged 12 and below will be provided with free rides all night at the St. Anne's Carnival, along with pizza, hot dogs, and soda between the hours of 5 and 6 p.m. This is the third time this event has taken place due to the generosity of the Carroll family, owners of Bristol Environmental. Tickets and forms can be picked up at the Bristol Borough Police Station Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with proof of Bristol Borough residency. That will start this Thursday. The last day of the forms to be returned and pick up the tickets will be August 12th of 2022. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
What is July 27th? Talk about that, please.
So July 27th, we're going to do our first responders day at the 21st Century Camp over at Snyder Drive with the kids that are attending the camp. I believe they are from Snyder Drive School and St. Mark's School. We have secured a ice cream truck for that day, and we are going to provide pretzels, the police officers with guard equipment, the Fire Department with their equipment, and SWAT 143 Chief and his equipment, and EMT will be present to spend a couple hours with the police officers.
Very
You're
good.
also welcome to attend that.
Very
It's from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning.
Thank you for everything.
Anything else, Chief? Oh, you have anything?
No.
Mr. Dillon?
Yes, there's 3 ordinances that are on your agenda that you've discussed in the past. They've been advertised and they're ready for your consideration this evening. In your packet was the proposed 537 sewage facilities management special study that's DEP is requiring in terms of having the permit transferred to Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority if that sale goes through. So that was in your packet, and it'll probably, the process probably will not be completed till sometime in November in terms of the permit being transferred. Also, I don't know if Kurt or Amanda's going to discuss the Maple Beach Bridge replacement bid. Council's going to have to consider approving that next month or rejecting the bids. The bids have been extended for a number of months now. And the other item deals with the realignment of the easements along Hunter Road back to the Lumberman property. So if you can touch on those two, Amanda or Kurt, just so give the council. Both of those subject matters are in your packet with pictures and figures for, further discussion, so.
Want to go to the podium?
I'll handle the Lumberman discussion, and then Amanda's better suited for handling the Maple Beach Bridge one. But regarding the Lumberman item, that's the lumberyard back behind at the end of Hunter Road, and on the tax records, it shows there's a paper street that extends through that property, and then beyond that paper street, out to the property line that borders the borough's woodlands, there's an easement for access, and over the years that has been sort of forgotten about, and some of the lumber is stored in that easement area, and it's fenced off, so there's no direct access by the borough through that easement any longer. But Lumberman approached us with an interest in doing a land development to add a sawdust collection system. So they'll be in once they get that plan ready for council's consideration. But in the process, Mr. Dillon brought to their attention that this easement exists, and the borough's managed, had to deal with some issues back on that property. So long story short, they're proposing to realign that easement to sort of navigate through their existing operations. They're going to put a gate in at the end of it where that fence line is, and it's going to enable the borough responders to get back to that property. So we've reviewed the easement. We'll look at the actual description of where that easement is and all that, but they haven't drilled down that information yet until we get sort of a blessing from council that we're okay with the area. Merle's okay with the easement area. We're okay with the easement area. We think it'll serve the needs of the borough, so we just are looking for guidance that we can have them drill it down and come back to sign it when ready.
Any questions for Kurt?
At one point, the developer of the warehouses, there was some issues with that whole roadway going in.
Sure.
And this doesn't affect that?
No, that was a separate matter, and that was resolved.
And they have
In
taken...
conjunction with that big land development to construct that massive building, and that was settled with the borough disputing the ownership, and that road itself will remain privately owned and maintained by those businesses along there, but the borough does have...
We have the easement over it.
Access through that
Okay.
location, yeah.
And that's how we're going to get access to the...
Correct.
Now, does that change? Lumberman's has some fencing back there, and how's that?
Their yard's entirely fenced in. So what they're going to do is provide what's called a Knox box, which the emergency management services will have
Okay.
a key to access the key that'll go through the gate.
That's the gate in the back next to the,
It'll probably be both gates, the one at the entrance to Lumberman and then the other one at the gate,
okay, so that seems
access to the woods.
good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kirk. Anything else?
The bridge, touch on the bridge.
The other item on the agenda is, for discussion, is the Maple Beach Bridge project. We opened bids for that bridge replacement on May 8th. So that's the bridge that's currently on Maple Beach Road that's closed right past the Public Works Building. If you guys recall, we had been searching for funding over the last few years. We've secured funding through the county, through PennDOT, through the state, which is the same grant funding that was used for the waterfront parking lot paving. And we've recently discussed with Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority that they'd be willing to commit some portion of the funds as well for the bridge replacement project, specifically because there is access to the wastewater treatment plant via Maple Beach Road. With the bids that were open and with the amount of funding that was secured, we essentially have very little contingency at the moment. There is discussion that there's federal funding that may also be secured, and I think we've heard verbally that that funding might be secured. We just don't know the timing of it at this point. So that would certainly provide a lot more contingency and cushion for this project. But at the moment, there is enough funding to cover the project and take it through construction with the bid amount that we have from the contractor at this point. So that would be an item for discussion and for potential approval of that bid, likely at the August council meeting. I think there might be a detailed breakdown potentially in your packets tonight too.
Any questions for Amanda? Thank you, Amanda. Before we go into the agenda, I'm going to have our solicitor explain the process with the mayor, because I'm not allowed to vote tonight, because I am acting mayor on any agenda item unless there's a tie. So, Mr. Salerno, why don't you explain? I want everybody to think that I'm not voting.
So the Borough Code provides that where there's a vacancy in the office of the mayor, that the duties of the office shall be discharged by the president of council. So in effect, the president of council is the acting mayor, so he has the same powers as far as overseeing the police department, et cetera. The code also provides that as the president is acting mayor, he may not vote as a member of council. So Mr. Giuseppe will not be voting as a member of council tonight. Lastly, provides that the vacancy shall be filled by council within 30 days of the vacancy by appointing a registered elector of the borough. So that has to be done by August 8th, the 30 days. And that person will serve until the first Monday of January after the next municipal election. In this case, it means that person will serve until the first Monday of January 2024. So next year in May and in November, there'll be an election for mayor, even though it's only 2 years into Mr. Saxon's term. So the appointed mayor will serve until then.
So everybody at home understands. So we're either going to have to call a special meeting, or we're going to try to meet on the 8th. It's very hard with vacations and all right now to try to get a full council here over the next several weeks. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that process. Okay, so is there any more public participation into this new meeting? Chief, you have anything else? Nothing?
I forgot to mention something.
Pardon me?
I forgot to mention something.
Sure.
I just want to say that Brian and myself are scheduling a North Ward cleanup. We don't know the date yet, so I just wanted to put it out there that we are looking to set the North Ward cleanup day. And we will let everyone know once we get a date and give further information. Thank you.
And before we get into the agenda and vote and end the meeting, I just want to say that there's nobody, no other elected official in this town besides our tax collector, Anna Laracy, who ran with more elections side by side with Mayor Saxon. From council to mayor, Anna, they had each other's back. And I know when I spoke to Anna on Friday, she was devastated over the news of losing Joe. So I know she just wanted to make sure everybody understands that how sad she feels over this whole thing. But they were running mates for many, many years and had each other's back along the way. So she's definitely going to miss Joe. Okay, number 3 on the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of council meeting minutes June 2nd, 2022, and June 13th, 2022, to accept the treasurer's report for May of 2022, accept the inspections report for June of 2022, accept public works report for June of 2022, accept the police report for June of 2022, and accept the HARB report for June of 2022.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Cullen. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And what am I, abstaining, Billy? Yes. I'm abstaining. Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve of an ordinance prohibiting the parking of vehicles used in the operation of a business in the Mill Street parking lot from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Peasant. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain.
I'd like to make another motion to approve of an ordinance prohibiting parking on either side of Old Route 13 Mill Street and Mill Street to Otter Creek.
Second by Mr. Gorman. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance providing all borough park and open space properties are closed to the public from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Second by Mr. Catroci. Questions or comments?
I just want to say that this is the beginning of what we've been talking about for a long time, and that is that quality of life is important for us in the borough, and we are all very sympathetic to the plight of some of the situations that people have, but we have to get a hold of the quality of life issues that we're experiencing and seeing throughout town.
Couldn't agree more, Greg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Could I get a motion to adjourn? By Mr. Catroci, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any